Hi Year 11, I hope you're really well and having a lovely week. Really well done for all your good work with the trig stuff and the sort of trig my maths assignments that were set in sort of lieu of a retest. And really lots of fantastic work on that. Really sorry I couldn't be with you live today after those couple of lessons. I would have liked to do a live one today, but I've got stuff on in school, so unfortunately I can't do a live one with you today. But I'm sure we'll do lots of more live ones soon. We're going to start looking at a new topic now of powers, different power laws. We already know some index laws, like multiplying the two indices means you add the powers and so on, but we're going to look at some slightly new ones in addition to them. If you're still making notes in your blue books, there's obviously going to be a couple of good notes to make today. It's in the number system, where we did our other power stuff back in year 9 or year 10. Okay, so we're going to look at negative powers today. And to come into negative powers, I want to look at the powers of 2, really important set of numbers. Certainly if you've done if you do computer science, an important set of numbers are powers of 2. So I'm sure you'd all be pretty happy if I asked you what 2 to the power 1 or 2 squared or 2 cubed or any of these were. They're there in front of you, but I don't need to put them in front of you. You could work out for me that 2 to the power 4 is 16 and so on. But once you get a bit lower, that's what we're going to, below this sort of point here is what we're going to start looking at today, because I think probably most of you wouldn't be so confident. Now the way I remember how this works is I start off with these ones that we know we're happy with. I'm really sorry about the autofocus, I'm not quite sure what I can do about that. And work my way down. As I come down these ones here, I know as I go up it's multiplying by 2 more every time. Obviously 2 to the power 4, what is 2 times 2 times 2 times 2? 2 to the power 5 is 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. It's multiplying by 2 every time, and that means as I go down, conversely, it's dividing by 2 every time. So 2 to the power 0 is just 1, and that's why anything to the power 0 is always just 1, because as you go down you're dividing by that number every time. This is the number squared, so you divide by that number to go down here, so you just get the number itself, and you divide by that number again to get the number to the power 0. So anything to the power 0 is 1. So 2 to the power minus 1 means it must divide by 2 again. So it's going to become 1 over 2 or a half. 2 to the power minus 2 means it's going to divide by 2 again. So it's going to become 1 over 4. And next will be 1 over 8. I suspect you're probably starting to see the pattern. So the law that we usually write for a negative powers, and I'm going to write this with some letters, but it doesn't matter what letters you use, but is if I've got a to the power of minus x, that's equivalent to 1 over, that one a bit bigger, a to the power of x. So if you've got anything to a negative power, it's the equivalent of 1 over that thing to the positive version of that power. Make sure you've just got that note in. Don't worry too much about the powers of 2. Don't really need those in unless you really want them. But this law is fundamentally what today's lesson's all about. So make sure, pause the video if you need to, get that note in. And then we're just going to go through 4 examples of how that works. So here's 4 different problems here. Most of the problems you're going to be practicing today are like these problems. Here's your most simple one. Evaluate, work out as a normal number. What is 4 to the power minus 3? Well, the first thing I'm going to do with all of those is basically almost just like substituting, write it like this. I've been given it like this. I'm going to write it like this. So instead of 4 to the power minus 3, I'm going to write it as 1 over, and it's going to be 4. Now it's not going to be minus 3 anymore. It's just going to be 1 over 4 to the power 3. And then sort of evaluate that fully. I don't want to leave it like that. I know that 4 cubed is 64. So it's 1/64. Okay, simple as that. Change it, make it 1 over the number to the power positively, and then work it out. Now this one I've asked to do the opposite. Write in index form means write it as a power. So I'm doing the opposite. So I'm going to change it from this form into this form. I know if it's 1 over 12 to the 7, that's the same as 12 to the power minus 7. Okay, so hopefully those should be quite straightforward, just jumping to and fro. Make sure you're marking your answers as you go. Couple of sort of more extension ones. Now, this is the main bit of today's lesson, but a lot of us will get through those questions quite quickly. This one wants us to write it as 10 to the power n, so it wants us to write it as a power of 10. Well, first thing I'm going to do is change it to make it 10 on the bottom. So I know that 1000 is 10 cubed, so 1 over 1000 must be the same as 1 over 10 cubed. And then I know that 1 over 10 cubed must be the same as 10 to the power of minus 3. So when you get the questions like this, I've changed it to make it that number on the bottom, 10 to the power 3. It should always be a number that fits as a power, and then I can convert it back to that. And then the last one, this really is an extension one, but again, a lot of you, if you work hard, will get onto this. Write as a fraction 3x to the power minus 5. Well, that 3 is really weird. That's really confusing me. So I'm going to sort of put it to one side. Now, I know that x to the power minus 5, well, I know that's the same as 1 over x to the power 5 from my rule. So if I've got 3 lots of that 1 over x to the power 5, then that's just going to be the same as having 3 over x to the power 5. Now, don't worry too much on that if that's throwing you. That's sort of the trickiest one that you'll do today, but a lot of you should be aiming to get onto that. The main thing is that you can convert from this to this, and you can convert from this to this. As ever, I will be on my computer, so do let me know if you have any problems. But you've got that probably should take about 10 minutes into the lesson, so you should be at about 2:10 if you're doing this in normal time of the lesson. So you need to work for about another 40 minutes on the sheet. Most of us should be getting through most of that sheet. Make sure you mark your answers as you go. Have a lovely day, and I'll speak to you later on.